Okay, we're live.
Great.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy
Welcome
New
back. Happy New Year, cheers.
Yes.
Welcome to Weekend Wind Down with
Thank
Business
you.
Coach Nancy. I'm here with my guest, Deborah Hernandez from the Rug Designers Studio.
Correct.
Okay, I got it right. I'm glad. So, okay, let me have a sip first. Hold on. Because after the day I've had, I need this.
Mm-hmm.
You too?
Well, it's just been a wonderful welcome into the new year. So a long, short week.
Yeah.
It's been a long, short. Mm-hmm.
It feels like it was the longest week in eternity, right?
I know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, they finally answered me. They said happy broadcasting. So for those of you who are just coming on, Deborah and I were having our issues with technology, which is, everyone knows that I often have that. But I'm excited to welcome everyone back to the new year of Weekend Wind Downs. And although I'm not going to be doing them every single Friday, please keep an eye out because I've done them every single Friday. I think did 2 full years. Rarely missing one, except for, times where I was traveling for speaking engagements or, extreme family emergencies. So I've loved doing them and I still want to do them. I'll just be doing them a little less often. So I'm going to try to get rid of the notes here and say hi to some people who are watching. And you can see I can put it up on the screen. So hi, Heather. Oh, calling in sick from the couch. Oh my God, you and so many other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the flu? Everyone's got the flu suddenly. Okay, and Adam from Sydney. Adam, you're going to like this. Thank you for coming on. This is right up your alley. Before I get started with Deborah's history and what she's doing today, I just want to, again, say Happy New Year to everyone. I'm back. Weekend Wind Down is here. We'll be doing maybe 2 times a month instead of 4. So I'm not committing to anything. Honestly, this is the year I'm not committing to anything. The only thing I'm committing to is continuing to help my clients get more profitable, get the confidence they need to charge their worth, and get their business models working effectively. And in doing that, I created a new program for interior designers. And it's called, what did I call it? Profit Insiders for Interior Designers. And I threw in the kitchen sink to this program, Deborah. I grew it. There's one-on-one coaching in the program. There's group coaching. There's masterminding. There's access to my membership site. And the biggest thing that I added, which I'm a little scared, but I think it's going to be good because my goal is to make sure everyone's always successful. Like I obsess over this, is direct access to my phone, which is plugged in right now. There's a app. I know, scary, right?
Great, courageous.
There's an app called Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie app that I use with my highest level clients. I am literally opening that up to this group for those who apply to be accepted into the Profit Insiders group for interior designers. It's a coaching mastermind. And like I said, I included all that stuff. Will actually have access to my phone. So isn't that crazy?
Beautiful. Wonderful.
It's beautiful. Now I have to be really good at what I teach, which is managing my time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the key. So, all right. Welcome, Deborah. Again, I'm here with Deborah Hernandez. She's the Rug Designers Studio. And I started talking to you, like 6 months ago?
Yes. We started chatting. I was always curious when I saw your emails pop up, and we just, it evolved from there. I would say it evolved from there. Curiosity, interests, topics of interest. And I just, took a chance.
You took a chance. You reached out to me and look what happens, right?
You never know.
You know what? Here's what I love to travel. And I have a daughter who loves to travel also. Right now, she's actually in the Galapagos Islands and she's Ecuador, and she just came back from India, and she's a travel agent now as a profession. And when I started hearing about your travels and how you're applying that to your rug designing, I was fascinated. And I think it's something that interior designers need to know. They need to understand where the goods that they're purchasing are coming from and what makes things different. And that's why I was so interested in having you on. So tell everyone a little bit about your history up until what you do today. And then we'll go on to your travel stories and your rug design.
Sure, sure. So I'm actually an adjunct assistant professor at the Fashion Institute here in New York City, and I teach custom carpet and rug design. So I've been teaching since that course since 1997. And I also teach the color specialist certificate, which I facilitate at FIT. So rugs have been a big mainstay because in addition to being an adjunct meaning part-time, I have worked in industry full-time and in all aspects of the custom carpet industry, primarily dealing with higher end goods, which I don't think is the answer to everything, but I think it's a good place to get familiar with because you know what's possible. Right. And I worked back in the day before computer. I'm an illustrator and a fine artist at heart. So we rendered beautiful carpets in the D&D building for various companies that I was employed with for people who could afford a custom rug. In those days, it was all about mindful creation, making a tracing, filling it in with paints. We painted in gouache and we mixed and matched colors to yarn and blah, blah, blah. And here we got this beautiful rendering. It was approved. We created a sample and eventually on approval, the rug went into production. So hand tufted, hand knotted, woven goods like Axminster, Wilton, all of these different things and flat weaves, whatever a client wanted, in the showrooms that all you interior designers shop in, it's like the stop and shop of everything. You can get whatever you want. Over the years, I went into commercial or hospitality carpet because I really was curious about the computer. And that's where I learned to design on a grid, basically. And I did a lot of hotel carpets, mostly Axminster and hand tufted. And that's where FIT came into play. Now, this started in 1990. FIT came into play in 97. And I taught my class exactly how I was growing and learning and thriving in industry. So that's what FIT is good at, bringing industry professionals into the classroom. That's why most of your teachers are adjuncts at FIT, which is a good thing. I think people want to learn because we're current and we're out there and we're working, we're surviving. So along the years, I have navigated through various jobs and positions, working with various qualities. And here I am today. And I would say, Nancy, the tie-in to my trip this summer, which was Kathmandu, Nepal, has been long awaited. So from the 1990s to now, I finally decided last spring I'm going, and I went alone. And I went
really?
Alone. I did. I went alone for 12 days.
I'm so impressed with that.
And I just did it. It was right before that, so Christmas of 2018, 2 days before Christmas, I got word from the company I work for. I was selling Axminster and hand tufted and doing design work as well for them. They set me up in a wonderful way. It was a nice salary plus expenses. And they said, well, if you want to stay with us in the new year, we have some changes. It's commission only. And I went, oh. Because sales isn't really my thing. I'm a designer at heart. I'm a colorist. I'm a creator. And I had only really stepped into the design role for 9 months. And anyone who's in sales will say you need at least 18 to 24 months to root and get your clientele set up. So I just said, I don't think so. This isn't going to work. And then we went into spring and I just started reaching out to all of these resources that I had made and realized that there was a welcome there in Nepal. And it was my favorite product, the hand knotted and the hand loomed product by far, whether or not I knew it was from that region. When it would come into the showroom, when it was ordered by a client, those samples arrived, I just was, elated. This was just magnificent and beautiful artisanal work. And so that's where
I've been drawn to it.
Yep. So that's where I landed.
That's amazing. Yeah, I remember we did a local event for the Interior Design Society Long Island chapter years ago when I was president. And one of the showrooms, I'm sorry I can't remember. If anyone's watching, I apologize. They were handing around like samples of carpets. And now I'm a business coach. I'm not a designer. I was an art consultant, and I can sit and mull over artwork forever because I just find it fascinating and beautiful. But when it comes to rugs and tiles and fabrics, I'm like, nice, pass it on, right? The designers were like, oh my God, look at this, look at that. And I'm like watching them and I'm laughing and I'm thinking, that's amazing that you could get that into this. And that's true. When it came to hand knotted, fine artisan rugs.
And that's what they are. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it in the universe. And I'm not here to promote one, developing country over another, because let's face it, a lot of these products come from countries that are developing. So I avoid using third world or the word poor, because they have these amazing skills, but not all places have government support. And Nepal is one of those places that really is coming back from the 2015 earthquake. So going there and seeing firsthand, first time I was ever in, Southeast Asia. So, I arrived clearly looking, not Nepalese. Right?
Wait, say that again. What are they called?
The Nepalese, right?
Nepalese. Wait, let me stop for a second and just say hi to a couple of people who I know are watching and commenting. Wait, where's my cursor? Oh, here it is. Let me just go back. Okay, so I'm sorry, Heather. Heather has a really bad cold. It's the season. So many people are suffering right now. Yeah. Hello, Nicole. She's calling us hot tamales. Thanks, Nicole. Hi, Sarah. And hey, Jen. And hi, Jeffrey.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so people are coming on. So if anyone else is here, let us know who's watching. Say hi to us, and we'll get, as Deborah starts giving her stories, make sure you ask questions, right? This is the time to do it. So go ahead. Tell us about what made you make this decision to go to Nepal?
I think, like I said, it was more curiosity, and then also in navigating the trip. Okay, so there's Travelocity, there's booking it, there's looking at prices, where to stay. Also, I went in July, so anyone who's been to that part of the world knows that that's like monsoon season. And so, I started to get a little nervous because I bought a book on Nepal, but I said, you know what? I know people who have been there, so I went right to them. And there are other people in the rug industry, and some of them are my dear friends, the Ruggist, Ruggist. Michael Christie, he writes a blog on rugs, and he's been to Nepal several times. So I said, hey, am I crazy to do this? And he went, no. And it just so happens our trips overlapped a little. So I knew that there would be a familiar face there, which was wonderful. He met me early in the morning when I arrived. And I just, you have to get some shots. You have to get yourself kind of prepared. And I think I survived very carefully with water. You want to drink bottled water. But if you're mindful and you're just practical. Now, listen, monsoon season in Nepal, the Hyatt is $108 a night.
That's it?
Hyatt is Shangri-La. So there is a juxtaposition. There is definitely a contrast between where I decided to stay, so that if there was an issue, if I got sick, if I just wasn't feeling the energy, I was, again, educating myself, reading, speaking to people. So I wasn't really afraid. I just had never been there, and I didn't know what I was up for. And so I was staying in a nice place. So every night after a day out in the elements, out in, you're not dealing with paved roads for the most part. So
what would when you went there, your goal was to meet the artisans?
Yep.
That were making the rugs by hand.
Making the rugs, weaving the rugs, dyeing the yarn. I went to visit masters of these crafts, which I had no idea. I have heard, you can go online, you can look at all sorts of videos, they're available. But to really go and feel the ground, to sort of smell everything, and then have monsoon rains and realize what people who rely on the elements to dry a rug, or, have to sort of close down shop when those rains come. I mean, I sat with them under, just a little cover. Rain was right there, and you just wait. And then, so there's this beautiful organic sensitivity and appreciation for everything, the elements,
Yeah.
everything, just being able to converse with people. Most people, they speak English. So,
I was just going to ask that. I was going to say, is this a silly question,
Yeah.
but what language do they speak?
Yeah, there is the language of Nepalese, but everybody, I never had a problem speaking to people. I think, again, seeing it firsthand, the first few days, I did meet Michael when my friend, when I landed a few hours later, it was early in the morning, like before 8 o'clock. We had coffee. They make great coffee there. So that's
a plus.
They're very centered. It's mostly Buddhist and Hindu. So there's, there's really not a problem with crime, so to speak. Everything is about prayer. So, you're walking into the town where they're going to the temples and they're doing their prayer, which is very much about walking and touching prayer wheels. It's just a beautiful space, but it's different than anything you've imagined if you've not been there. There's a lot of people. There's, there is poverty. There is suffering. And they'll tell you, yeah, there is. But, Buddhists believe that you're here in this body, and when you go, you're born again. So you come back in a different body. So once you get into sort of the vibe and the energy and the experience of who they are, and you're not in judgment, you're just about sort of looking at it. If there are people, and I have heard, that go to a place like this, Nepal included, and just can't hack it, and they'll rather stay, in the 5
Make them too sad to just see it, or judgmental, or
maybe it's that. Also, there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of movement. It's kind of like if you took a bag of marbles and threw them out on the floor and they all went different. That's how traffic is. It's just this sort of floating, meandering sea of cars moving this way and that way, small cars per se, but crossing the street is quite an experience. It's like, wow. But
were there a lot of Americans there besides you and Michael for a couple of days that you saw him? But like in the areas you were going where the artisans were building the rugs and making the rugs, were there a lot of Americans there? No.
You need to know someone to really, weaving is a private matter for the most part. They really, really honor and respect whoever the work is coming in from. So I don't have a ton of pictures of what was on loom because that's somebody's work. That might very well be a custom rug. If it's your rug, we could arrange, to have it photographed. They'd be happy to do that. But if it's somebody else's, you sort of have this understanding that this is somebody's private, personal project.
Really?
And so when you come upon a place that where weaving is going on, it's usually behind gates. You have to be welcome in. You'll be welcomed in, and then they do everything they can to make you feel comfortable, from tea to, serving you cookies to making sure you feel good. Because it's an experience. It's not cushy, and it's not, inside my hotel was amazing, but outside it's definitely a lot of activity, action. There's cows standing in the street. There's stray dogs everywhere. There's all the things you imagine when you have a developing country. Plus the effects of the earthquake really grabbed my heart because these amazing temples are, they're trying to restore them, and they were, scaffolding was made out of bamboo. Wow. All kinds of people working to bring things back. China is really helping to support a lot of this, especially the museums and things that were destroyed. So there is a lot of that kind of movement. There are people on the street begging. There's all that kind of stuff, but within it, there's just this amazing spirituality, and I felt very connected, and I will tell you right now, I would go back.
So Sarah's asking, what were your hopes going into the trip? Like, what were you hoping to achieve and feel both personally and for your business?
Well, a couple of things. One of the companies I met with, Alternative Technologies, they are a Nepalese software company making software particularly for the rug business. Most of the weavers there are using some sort of computer to create a grid from artwork that people send them. Even in India, they're all using a program that they create called Galincha. And Galincha, I put on my Facebook page, the Rug Designer Studio, talk a little bit about that. Very affordable software, and it really helps designers see what's possible on a grid, because everything with rugs of this nature is how much can you fit in the square inch, right? So I met with them. I learned about their software. I'm hoping to bring the software into FIT, into my teaching. This was a really productive part of my trip, is seeing what they're doing and how they've grown this company over 20 years, and how they respect so much the weavers in the region and are trying to sort of create a connection through this software. Because no matter what you design on, if it's not a gridded software, when it gets to a weaver, whether it's there or in India or in China, they're putting it on a grid. Don't kid yourself. Photoshop, Illustrator. I know all of these programs. They all can be great tools, but at the end of the day, we got to see what the grid can do and what yarn I can fit into the square inch. So that's what I work on.
So what's the name of the program again?
It's called Galincha.
Galincha.
And it's part of Alternative Technologies. So you can find them. They have a Facebook presence. They have a online presence. Wonderful people. They really welcomed me.
So you made a connection with them. So that was one of your aspirations, to meet with them.
Yep.
To get in behind the scenes there.
Mm-hmm. And I sat with them. Mm-hmm. I sat with them and trained a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And did they introduce you into these little?
No, I had, they knew people, of course, that were weavers. And, there was a welcoming for me to meet with the folks they knew. But through Michael and also through my own connections before the trip, I knew people I wanted to see. So one thing I do in my work is I was helping an artisan here in New York create. She was designing rugs. She designed other home product. She wanted me to sort of pioneer and pick colors for her and get her rug set up. So she already had a weaver. I contacted him when I landed through WhatsApp, which works beautifully everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world.
And he said, sure, I'll come and get you. I mean, it was that easy. He took me to see his weavers. He took me to meet his family. They made me a meal. We had a lovely afternoon. And my last day in Nepal, he came and took me all over the mountains, just to see how beautiful a country it is outside the city of Kathmandu. So I met him. That took a couple of days where we went back and forth, and I helped on this project, facilitate her colors and whatnot, and chose some fibers and just looked at the artwork. They were using Galincha, so we were able to apply it to that. Then another point of my trip was meeting with a weaver that I was working on another project for, an art gallery, who he takes the artwork of fine artists and recreates them into hand knots, hand knotted rugs. And I had already done artwork for him. So I was meeting with the dyers and looking at the colors they dyed, and we refined colors a little bit, like which way to go, and looked at balls of yarn. And then
sounds like so much fun for you.
It was just that. And then that was meeting their dyers. And then on another day, I met with them to meet their weavers. And that I took a cab about an hour from my hotel. So it was a trip, and landed there and spent a day with them. Just seeing how they facilitate things. And they spoke to me about the importance of private schools and all the work they do for community. So it was really resonating with me as a teacher, how important schooling is, how important private schools. By the way, $35 American can send a kid to school for a year. Yeah. So you'd be surprised just what, say, $100 could do in Nepal, 100 US dollars.
Wow.
And I was really absorbing all of this. I also got in touch through my own, curiosity with the the Craft Association of Nepal, they make all the stuff for anthropology, all those knicky-knacks when you walk into anthropology and you love this and that and the other thing.
Really?
I went there and visited their facility. That was a day. They were very kind. They're looking to foster some relationships with the schools to get students to do internships there. This was another part of my interest was to, I'm now writing a course that's a night class at FIT that will run in the fall that's about contemporary rug design. And if that is successful, they're very open to creating on-site experiences where we would take a group to Nepal. People would experience weaving, experience dyeing, because if you don't get it or see it, I guess there's always a void, and you can still buy a rug with that void. But once you know what goes into it, you appreciate it so much more. And it's just so, I feel for us as consumers, it's important, regardless of where you buy or what you buy, to have a sense of what's going on behind the scenes. Because, and I'm a big consumer, and I, love artisanal products, and I'm always looking for a bargain, or should say I was. Now I really want to know, where's it coming from? Maybe do a little research on that business. If you connect with someone like me, I know these artisans. I know how it is coming to life, that product. I understand there are companies like Good Weave and Label Step, who I also connected with. Label Step, these govern sort of a regulation so that there's no child labor, there's no mistreatment of women. That was very common theme in the 90s in places like India and Nepal. And right now there's a huge uprising of elevating women to a whole new standard. And none of these places tolerate anything like that. They treat people so well. They provide housing. Their children can be with them. Their children are schooled. They feed them. So, you got to know where your stuff comes from, because all of that other stuff exists too. And so
and I think it really changes what you have to offer for an interior designer who's listening. Mm-hmm. Yes, you all have the clients who don't care. They just want it to look pretty, right? But when you start talking about your knowledge of how things are made, where they're made, visiting is incredible, right? I mean, you get found and you get listened to like no other. I mean, when people are interested in that, they're going to seek you out as a specialist, right? So I'm always telling people, like, niche is rich and broad is broke. Like, what's your favorite thing? Is there something more you can learn about that? Is there something that excites you about that, so that it can drive your energy and attract people to you? So
I think that's it. It's attraction and it's awareness. And I am guilty of being none of that. And as I get older, it became more important to me, especially in seeing that. I realized that's my first trip, and that will not be my last trip there. And also I have goals to go to India. I have invitations to these different spaces. It's important to see. And I think my message to the creative world is you always have a choice.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of places to buy rugs. I've bought some rugs online, right? And I've made some things in Nepal and bought them in. And there's a whole different experience and price point.
How do you even do that? For designers who don't even know, like, how would you, I don't know, not go to a showroom and get a rug made for a client or for yourself, or just investigate the process? Is that, like, do they call you? Like, explain from beginning to end, how does that work?
Sure. So, and I don't want to downplay the showroom experience, because I have a lot of friends who work in showrooms and a lot of people who shop in showrooms. They exist. They will always exist.
Right.
I think what I can do for someone is, I'm not spread all over the place. This is where I'm now focusing in. This is the product I know, and I know personally. And whether it becomes a product from another region inclusive fine, that will happen naturally. But right now it's Nepal and it's with these artisans, and this is what I do. So you can certainly come to me with an idea. I welcome a conversation. It doesn't have to be leading or guaranteeing a sale. I'm not like that. I'm not a salesperson. I'm a connector, right? And I can make you your product, and yes, you will pay me, and I will get the rug to you. And you really, it starts with an idea. I'm all for inspiration boards of what you're seeing out there. I don't copy anything. I can do the artwork for you. You might already have artwork. You might have a vision board, or you might have questions, what's right for a particular product. I think that the thing that I know, because I've worked in the showrooms and I've worked with a lot of salespeople, is not everyone gets this education that I had. Not everyone steps off the plane into Kathmandu and knows this hand loomed or hand woven product the way I now know it. As a designer for many years, I understand hand tufting. I've designed for that. I've designed for Wilton, Axminster, all those qualities. But this product I know. And I have a wonderful connection with them. So once you have an idea, a size is important, or a vision, we can create artwork for you, and we will bring it to life. Now, the software I spoke of actually allows us to show you a simulation of what the rug might look like. One of the important things about Galincha is my hopes are to reduce the carbon footprint a little bit, because the simulations are amazing. They show what the rug looks like as if it were made. You can see the front and the back.
Really? And you have to pick the fiber or the type of...
Well, fiber, of course. If you want wool and silk. If you want flax, if you want hemp. I mean, there are all many different kinds of fibers for the project. I would advise you, where's the rug going? How many people are going to be walking over it? What's the look of the space? What are we doing? We're putting it on stairs. We're putting it wall to wall. Are we making an actual area rug? So there's all those different typical things that someone's going to cover. Right. And then I'm going to give you a price that's not the showroom price. It's my price. So if you go and buy my product through a showroom or the same product, you're going to pay 2 and 3 times the price. So,
really, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what is the difference in?
Yeah. So,
in price?
So, a lot of the showrooms today, they're selling hand knotted and hand hand loomed, $60 a square foot to $150 a square foot. So, with someone like me, you're getting anywhere, depending on what it is. So it's not a one price fits all. I have to see how many colors you want or what you're doing. So it could be anywhere from the mid 20s a square foot to $50 a square foot. So, I look at it, and then I also look at the size. If it's, once it goes over 8 foot in width on the small end, we have different pricing that comes into play, but we've got to get that piece on a plane. When we talk about quantity, any of the interior designers working with these boutique hotels, a lot of them want to have the look of handmade in their guest rooms. Quantity, now the price drops significantly. Certainly you want to go direct for something like that. You'd be foolish to go through a showroom for that. I mean, quite frankly.
So you're a rug designer, basically. So they're coming to you, you're talking them through all the choices, all the inspiration, you're helping design it. If they have something drawn out already, you're probably putting it into this program.
Sure.
Okay. And then you're pricing it out for them, and then you're having it made.
Having it handmade.
Possibly met in Nepal.
And through that process, one thing with me is my motto for since last year actually is creativity through connection. So, in most cases, it's your rug. I can get pictures. I can connect you. You can see the weaver or the weavers, depending on the size of the rug. You'll have a more personal experience, which I think speaks volumes because it humanizes things. This is not a machine. There's wonderful machine-made product out there. Lots of it you can get online, Overstock, all those places for a couple of bucks. But this is a handmade piece. So we are seeing it come to life. We are watching it move across the universe to you and landing it,
That's so much fun. How long does it take? I mean, obviously it depends on the size of the rug, but like what is on average from when they say, I want to order it, to when it actually gets delivered?
So again, amount of colors makes a huge difference on a regular hand knotted item. If you're looking at months of production, so it could be 6 to 9 months. On something like the hand loomed, a lot of what I'm showing on the Rug Designer Studio lately that I had just made in Nepal and bought in, a lot of this is one color. The yarn is variegated, so the dyeing takes place before they weave it, and it's really about texture. So these things are much quicker. We're looking at a few months and maybe even quicker, depending on the size of the rug and what's involved, any special techniques or anything that you want. But we figure all that out early on, so you're well aware of what you're looking at. And I can't say with a handmade piece that I'm going to have it down to the day, but I certainly can say, look, it's coming off loom. They're doing this, they're doing that. Here it is. And we can follow it. And that's pretty exciting. It builds up the excitement, because I know as a designer, even in my younger days, when a rug came in, it was just so exciting to see it unrolled and to see the reveal. So with me,
yeah, and I think if you have that client who wants to be part of the process, and you're feeding the pictures through, and as the interior designer, you're able to go, look where your rug's at, look who's doing it, look who's actually making it, and a little bit about them and where they're located. Absolutely. That is amazing, because now that's a conversation piece. It's not just a rug that was bought anywhere, right? It's a conversation piece.
It's a conversation piece. And I think what's really important, Nancy, is to know that, again, Nepal, many of the weavers from Tibet many years ago have been exiled from Tibet into Nepal. So one of the reasons a Nepalese hand knotted rug is considered, this incredibly valuable piece. And there are a few people who could tell the difference between that region and, say, a region in India, because the Tibetan refugees that came into Nepal taught the Nepalese this particular knot, which is a wonderful way of wrapping the knot and securing it a little stronger, let's just say.
Can you tell the difference when you're looking like?
Very difficult for me. Very difficult for me.
Do you have any samples? I can make you bigger on the screen and me. I know you probably can't really see it.
Not of the inferior knot. I don't have.
Okay.
I have Nepalese knots. I'm leaning on one right here.
Okay, well, let me see if I can make you bigger. Oh no, that's making me bigger.
But I'll post. I mean, you'll see it's a beautiful, beautiful knot structure, and that's why most interior designers and I would suffice to say a good showroom is going to say this is out of Nepal, and you'll know that even when you shop the showrooms, Nepalese goods are usually priced a little bit higher. It's the artisanal work. It's going to take a little longer. It has this special knot. Now they can make a hand knotted rug a lot faster without that double wrap, right? Because it's all about the tension and going. And so I'm kind of skipping a step. So you really, you get what you pay for, and there's a lot of truth to that with rugs. So when you say heirloom piece, a Nepalese rug should be something that you pass down from centuries to centuries to your family. You leave it to your children, your whoever special.
Really? It's going to last that long?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it's completely something that will go back into the earth. And, because it's all, there's no backing on these rugs. I mean, there's no plastic or latex. It's just all fiber, one side and the other. Okay. This is wool and silk. It's going back into the world, Wow. So that's another thing. And then the hand loom pieces that you'll see on my website. So a lot of people.
Is your website up yet?
It's not up yet. Okay. It's coming. But on the Facebook page, the Rug Designer Studio, the hand loomed are very hard to tell between hand knotted and hand loomed. I mean, unless you're an expert, right? So those hand loom pieces, the finishing is what's so beautifully done in Nepal. And you can definitely, I don't have inferior products here, but you can see the difference if you were to compare them. Like I go out into the world and I, see a rug handmade and I look and I can usually tell the region right away from the finishing. It just is, and it may not matter to everyone, but it matters.
I was going to say, I want you to talk me through, like, how would you, as a designer, with, let's say, a upper middle class family or a design project, and you want to explain to them why you want, as a designer, to give them a custom rug and one from Nepal. How do you sell it? Is it going to cost them more? They're going to have to wait longer. How do you sell it? Because I think that's the first step for designers. How do I sell a rug of this caliber to where the people are going to care?
I think the most important thing, and your interior designers would know, is knowing your client, because there are clients who just don't care. Right. And that's okay. They may say, I got a ton of kids. I don't care. I need this. I need that. And so listening to them and really giving them what they want. A hand knotted rug has a slightly different look than a hand tufted rug. That's usually the choices that people make. As far as the region that the hand knot is coming from, well, you have to, you have to kind of gauge it, show them samples. At the end of the day, if it's not important, and this is not a judgment, it's not important to everyone to have a piece that's made that has that Nepalese knot that I'm speaking to. It may not be important to you to know the region of the world, of Asia, maybe, that this handmade or hand woven product comes from. But I think it's important to understand a little bit about the background of Nepal and the suffering that has gone on in all of that part of the world, but most recently with that earthquake and the coming back of many of these weavers. I met women my age who don't read or write, but they weave masterfully, and their children, who are typically the age of my students, in their mid-20s at FIT or early 30s, who are coming back now with, these are educated kids, to try to bring the business back, to get everything situated into place, to survive, because production has decreased from the early 2000s to now. And they're really, they're sort of competing in a sense with India, who has a lot of governmental support. So once you start knowing a little bit about history and politics and things like that, there's a part of my heart that was like, wow, this little tiny country nestled between India and China, deserves a little attention. So there's a part of me that I know there are people in this world who that stuff matters to. And that's the kind of person who's going to come to me. I don't want to any longer apologize for pricing. And I think my prices are great because I know what's going on out there, but I'm not.
Can I get a round of applause for that one? Because everyone knows how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Price your worth.
Yeah.
Price yourself and know your worth. Mm-hmm. Is rug design a dying art? Is it we're coming back again? Like, you teach a class at FIT. Are there a lot of students taking this?
Well, they're required to take my accredited course in the BFA. It's textile surface design majors that take custom carpet and rug design. The evening course that's will be debuting in the fall of 2020. That's been something that people have been sort of asking me about, because you cannot take my day class unless you're a day student. It's 6 hours. It's 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. We're digital, and then we still do hand painting. So,
oh wow,
yeah, it's quite a demanding 3-credit course. So in the evening, it's a little more easeful. You'll get a little bit of Galincha, the computer program. You don't need to know the computer to take the course. You're going to learn about how to make a contemporary rug, not all kinds of rugs. We're going to focus a little bit on Nepal and the hand knotted weave structures. So it's sort of honing in on this particular area and this particular product that I know well and can teach well, because I have this incredible connection. And then from there, who knows, it would grow. Are my hopes. You can't take a rug design class anywhere in New York that I know of. There's none of the colleges are giving courses.
And why aren't you in the online world more, teaching rug design?
It's on the horizon. It is on that back burner there. It's simmering a little bit. I think one of the reasons is, though, in taking a class with me, I have some beautiful, beautiful samples of all kinds of rugs, and a tactile experience is my message to everyone. I don't care if you buy from me, but if you're going to buy a rug, take your shoes off, get your hands into it, get your feet into it. You got to feel it. And your clients should want to feel it.
It's so amazing to me, right? I mean,
touch it.
Just the way you get into it, it's just so amazing to me. You got to feel it. You got to feel it. Get your toes and your fingers in it. Does everyone understand that? The people listening can definitely tell. When that you get this, because it's just funny to me, right? Because I don't. It's just I see everybody's passion.
Well, yeah, and I think that.
But you light up. You light up when you're talking about this. That's how you know. When I coach my clients, they'll hit on a subject, and I'm like, all of a sudden, that's why I like to do video. Is because I can see them, and I'm a body language trainer. So when they light up, I'll be like, little light bulb goes off in my head and goes, do you realize you light up when you talk about this particular area or this particular type of client or this particular, and often we fight our nature. Like what?
We do.
And I have to take you to go to Nepal, right? It was.
I mean, and it all happened from a job that I was selling other product, Axminster, and machine made, and then hand tufted out of India mostly. That said, well, commission only, or you got to leave. And I'm going, are you kidding? Commission? I can't. There's no way. There's no way. Especially when my region was all of New York, parts of Connecticut, Philadelphia, and when I say New York, Rochester too. Right. So. Here I am in Staten Island going, I'm killing myself running around. And, what is it that I really love? Well, this is a product that I love. However, you should know if you work with me, if you needed another product, if the hand tufted was better for your client or your property, I would definitely be able to do that for you too. It's something I know well. Most of my jobs have been designing Axminster, hand tufted, and hand knotted. So I've gone through all of those venues. I just think with this most recent trip, my heart really, if you're looking for a handmade, hand woven or hand knotted piece, I could really help you there and give you a very personal experience if that matters to you.
And do you work with people from all over? You can work with them virtually? UK, New Zealand. I mean, I have clients all over the world, English-speaking countries. Can you do the same?
Yes, I can work with anyone, anywhere. I'm happy to set up. We can FaceTime. We can speak to. There's that WhatsApp, which is a wonderful app to get back and forth, or to sort of at least get on the same time zone or a compatible time to speak and connect.
Right.
Not a problem. I mean, my weavers are over there, and the people making the stuff are over there, so we have to have that connection. It's not a problem. I think. The internet is a wonderful way to get our point across. Oh, I just lost you.
Oh, you did? I'm here.
Hello.
We can see you. You can't hear us? Oh, I better message her before she thinks we can. Hold on. I don't know if you have Facebook open.
See?
We see and hear you. Oh, I hate when that happens. I'm hoping Deborah goes on Facebook. Okay. She's reading. We see and hear you, but she can't see us. She's typing to me. This is amazing to me.
Okay. I think we lost Nancy for a moment.
No.
But I believe you can still see and hear me.
Okay, so.
No, I am here.
I don't know who's seeing what. So you guys tell us. Can you see?
I just can't hear you.
Can you see Nancy, or can you see Deborah, or can you see neither of us or not hear us? Are we gone? This is funny. Here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go onto my Facebook business page and actually see what you guys can see. I'm going to tell. Uh-oh. Hold on, Deborah. This is so funny. I love when this stuff happens.
I need a refresh. Let's see.
Okay, so I think we might be going completely. Okay, I can see and hear both of you. Oh my God, that's so funny. Hold on, give us technical difficulty, guys. Hold on. So I'm typing to Deborah. They can see and hear both of us, but we just can't hear and see each other. So I'm going to tell her to go out and come back in. This is so funny.
Okay, so I'm going to go out and come back in. So bear with me.
Okay. Oh, I'll tell you. So in the beginning, when we first started I always go on 15 minutes beforehand with my clients, and I could not see her or hear her. Okay, hold on. Let's see. She's back. Let's see if this works. Can you
there?
I'm here. Are you there?
I'm here.
So this is the funny part, right? I was just telling them how when we came on, I couldn't see or hear you when we were in practice mode.
Yeah.
This happened once before where they couldn't, I guess they could see me, but I didn't know they could see me. And I always get so worried, right? I don't know what everyone's seeing and what they're not. So thank you everyone for telling us that you could hear and see both of us, but we just couldn't hear or see each other. So anyway, all right. So we're back. So if somebody tell me the perfect scenario for you to work with somebody, like, and who hires you today? Like, who reaches out to you?
Okay. So right now, one of the people I work with, one of them is a gallery owner here in New York. He deals with very high level fine artists. I go to his gallery, I sit with him, we speak about the artist's work. He usually has a connection through estates or different, it's a little bit private, so I can't throw the names out there. When the rugs are made, I will. Okay. But we look at their artwork. I've gone to, let's just say, the archives of the MoMA, and I've looked at authentic, beautiful, amazing paintings. And he uses my expertise to determine, can we do this in hand knot? What would be some of the techniques we should use? There's different ways of applying the yarn to the surface, cutting or looping or lowering the loop or raising it, all these different things, twisting the plies to sort of blend colors. So we look at it in that way. And then I would create artwork or sort of a sense of a sample and say, look, a lot of times artists, especially watercolor artists and oil painters, to get the look, I'm using upwards of 40 some odd colors. So these are rugs that go for lots and lots and lots of money. Wow. And then it becomes, is this really worth it? It's his investment, not mine. I mean, he pays me and I design the artwork, and then we see if the rugs can be made. In one case, one of the rugs samples should be in soon. And I will go and sort of, look at those samples and decide if we're going to go this direction or that direction, because we're sampling several different yarn techniques. That's one of my clients. I have to say, I really like working with him. He's just, he doesn't haggle on pricing. He, for me, for my time, he never questions it.
Everybody loves clients like that.
So right. Anyway, in other cases, well-known showrooms in New York, I've worked for a lot of them. I've done a lot of freelance for many of the popular names of probably carpets that showrooms that you buy your stuff through if you're a New York interior designer. And I go and, sometimes they have an art department. A lot of them hire my students. By the way, my students are working in many of the well-known design showrooms that have art departments. And they may be in a crunch. I can't get this done. We need this. So I can come in and help do artwork from home. I'll work from home, but I'll take the project on and sort of see what I could do. In some cases, it's just someone needs a custom rug and they'll come to me. They may have artwork already. They may really know what they want. And then if it's hand knotted, I go direct to source. If it's hand tufted or Axminster or that kind of stuff for the hotels, I work with someone here, actually in Staten Island. She's a woman-owned business. I love giving work with her and working with her. She's very fair. And sometimes I do the artwork for her. Sometimes we get the artwork done elsewhere, and we start to sample and create the rug. And then I'll work off of a commission from her. So that's mostly the way that I do rugs now. I don't belong to anybody full time anymore. So I am free. So I can pick and choose what I want to do.
Your knowledge is incredible. I mean, I know you teach at FIT, but you know me, I live in the online world and speaking in person. You could put together a slideshow and teach people so much about this. And I'm sure you have so much content already because you're a teacher. And now with your trip behind you,
I have a lot of content. I know. And Nancy, we have to talk more.
I'm pitching you, I swear. I just see, that's my superpower, right? I see the potential in everybody and how they can make it bigger than it is today. And when I see someone as passionate as you, it just comes out my mouth.
And I love to do it. I mean, I guess first and foremost, I am a teacher. So I think that matters when it comes to creating product for people or selling product, because in a way I am selling, I am a salesperson, but I'm really a teacher first. And I'm not about creating something for someone that isn't right for the project. And that's the difference between me and a lot of people, because I know how difficult sales is. It's something that I have a conscience. And
well, here's the thing: sales without being salesy, which is what I teach, is primarily about finding your passion. And when you speak about it and becoming an expert in it, people feel your enthusiasm, feel your authenticity, and just want to be around you, right? So like, you're like that. You know, when it comes to rugs, I'm thinking, oh my God, like who better to talk to than you, because it excites you and you see, you know how they're made, you know how to get it done, you know how to make it gorgeous, you have connections everywhere, you've been teaching it forever, you're magnetic when it comes to this subject. So like, well, who wouldn't want to hire you? So you don't really have to be a salesperson when you get that excited about things.
You don't. And that's why I think, especially after my trip where I said, geez, because I can grab, there are tons of sales positions out there for rugs and carpets. Boy, they're just, oozing out of the woodwork. And I just said, that's not, listen, money is nice. I get it. And, I'm surviving. I'm not, I'm okay.
Right.
But I'm doing what I want. And it took a long time. And that's, I mentioned on my Rug Designer Studio page and Facebook.
I was just looking for it and I can't find it. I wanted to show everyone.
Just go to Rug Designer Studio.
I did do that. Let me go back. Because that's right when we were losing each other is when I did that. I was going to show it really quickly. So
I speak about a book that I'm working on called Rug Burn. And it really has to do with my journey for 30 years working for all these different people and all different products. And really, there's a little play on words there, but I've been around the block a few times and I've worked with all kinds of different people. And so I definitely am somebody who, when my students go into the industry, when I inspire them, I set them up and I'm like, listen, here's the deal. If you work for this person, this is what you can get. If you work for this person, here's what will happen. And I'm very, very honest because I'm very protective of my students who choose this as a way of life.
Yes. Let me show you what I'm looking at because I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
Can you see? Is it coming up yet? Hold on. I got to bring it up to the broadcast studio. Give me a second here. Okay. And then I have to change the screen so it can be bigger. Okay. So this is, I just put in the Rug Designers Studio. And I'm going to go to pages because basically what I came up with was my description of today. I can't find you.
I can find it.
But you won't be able to share your screen.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want you to.
If you go to me, if you go to my Facebook page, Deborah Hernandez.
Okay, let me do that. Hold on.
Try it from there. because I just posted.
Because I really do want to show everybody. So if they're looking for you, they know where to find you.
I'm sorry that you can't find it.
I know. I'm thinking you have, you might have something that has to be adjusted for the search.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's my page. And then if you go down a little bit, let's see. On the right side, keep going. There should be a place that says
right here, my page.
Click on that. Yeah.
Okay, we're showing it.
There.
Okay.
So there's some yarn. There's the difference between hand loomed and hand knotted. There's a little bit about Galincha under that.
Look at that.
Yeah. So they are weaving on a vertical loom.
Wow.
And this is just showing you different vertical looms. That's
amazing. I just have to go back to this.
There's a floor loom in there too. You can get a floor loom on eBay if you want to try.
Not me.
So there's product that I bring and that I'm showing on the page. This is hand loomed, and these people are working on a vertical loom. So this is the difference. This is knotted, and the other is just hand loomed with using the loom basically to pack in the heddles with the feet. Yeah. So there's lots of different kinds of weavings. These are just two techniques.
All right, everyone, go give the rug designers, apostrophe S. Maybe that's why I didn't do it that way.
Maybe.
S Studio, or look up Deborah Hernandez and give her page some love here. So, Deborah, tell everyone besides here how they can find you, because do you believe it's 5:30?
I can't believe it's 5:30, and it's been just a lovely conversation. So one of the best ways to get to me is through my email right now as I'm building this website. It's DLHernandez INC. So DLHernandez with a Z, like in zebra, INC @gmail.com. And I'm happy to, speak to you, answer questions. Don't think of it as a sales thing. We can get there if that's what's meant to be.
Beautiful. And when this broadcast is over, you can go on my business page into the comments, and you can put your email in there, and you can put a link to your Facebook page and everything, so people can find it. So, so thank you everyone for watching my first weekend wind down of the new year.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy. This has been a pleasure, and everyone have a lovely evening.
Yes, thank you for being my guest, guys. I think I am on next week, actually, so look for it. Again, I'm doing these intermittently now. Weekend Wind Down won't be every single Friday, but I will be here probably still most Fridays because I kind of love it. So, all right. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for
watching.
Namaste.